Had to get it out in the sunshine so we can see what we need to see. All right, now look, this is not going to be as complicated as some of you might have thought. Let me readjust here. All right, the first and most important thing. With a tractor like this, if it has to shift, that's a whole nother set of things that you'd have to add. This one doesn't have to shift. This one you can put in any of the 5 gears because of the centrifugal clutch on the Predator 212. So that's the first step in the radio controlled tractor. It has to be able to not shift. So this essentially makes it an automatic. By the way, if you want to see the first video where this engine was put on here, I'll make it come across the top of the screen right now. All right, the second biggest hurdle is turning. All right, my friends, what you're looking at is a 1,500 pound linear actuator. Now, it turns very, very slowly. I had a 250 pound linear actuator on there. I'll show you a picture of it right now, where it would turn twice as fast, but I was afraid to turn it with it setting still. This one, it can be setting still, it can be moving. The other one worked fine with it moving. As a matter of fact, in the first RC video, I put it across the top, where it goes around the tree, it's working with the smaller of the 2 linear actuators. This one here, when we did the event over at the church, it had this one on it. Linear actuator is really easy. This is a 12 volt motor that makes this shaft go in and out. This is an 8-inch actuator. So I essentially got 4 inches of stroke on either side. Alright, here's the only complicated part of the build. There's the 2 leads that goes to the linear actuator. Alright, so if you hook positive to this side and negative to this side, it goes one way. If you reverse those, it goes the other way. Now, let's pause this. Now, the first way that I was able to accomplish that was with this switch. You can see there's a hole in it. This switch is about $15 off of eBay, and it's made by Gamma Electronics. And it's a momentary switch. That way connects the circuit one way, that connects the circuit the other way. And what I did is I ran a 256 piece of threaded rod through there and hooked it to a servo, but after a little while of driving, it broke the rod. So this is an excellent switch, and I thank Gamma Electronics for making it, because it worked really well, and maybe if I'd have mounted things different, it'd still be on there. But since that broke the rod, I built this switch. Alright, essentially what we got here is we got limit switches stacked on top of one another. Micro switches. Let me unfocus this thing. I got micro switches stacked on top of one another and then tied together with aluminum and duct tape. And then, let me grab my remote. Check this out. That's how I connect the circuit one way, and it's turning. And that's how I connect the circuit the other way, and it turns back the other way. So it took me a little while to build this switch, but when the servo works right, the switch works every time. But I don't know what caused the issue. If you're an RC guy, maybe you can tell me. But sometimes, even when I wasn't very far from the machine, I'd look down and the servo would just be spinning one way. Now, not fast, because servos don't move fast, but it would go one way and it would just keep spinning. And it would beat my little tabs there on my switches all up, and really, I'd have to reset everything. So, anyway, when this comes back together, we're probably going to investigate that further. I'm learning more about motor drivers and whatnot. And the possibility is that this shaft right here runs down through here to the gearbox. There's a possibility, let me pull the hood off. So anyway, that shaft runs from here into that gearbox right there. Which means I got a prime location right in this area that I can put a gear on that 7/8 bar and hook a motor driver to one of the channels on the servo and possibly drive it with the shaft in it. Now, all this is about to come apart, and I'm going to put the shaft in it, and I'm going to manually drive it and decorate it. And then when it's undecorated after Christmas, I'm going to take it to the farm, and it's going to have to do some actual real work, pulling a hay trailer around. All right, the second servo. If you got any questions on this, just comment down below. I tell you what, comments seem to help the channel out a lot. Just comment anyway. Alright, so this one is super simple. So this is just the throttle. This is that 256 rod that I was talking about earlier, and a clevis that matches it. All it does is run back to the throttle. Let me get my remote control again. Get in there where maybe I can see that. And all it does is pull the throttle open. Super simple. Which, a matter of fact, if you're watching the series on the RC boat, it's probably the exact same way that the RC boat is going to be throttled. Now, of course, a linear actuator has to have 12 volts, so that's why the battery's in there. So then the 12 volts comes into this switch, and it goes out one way this side, and it goes out the other way this side. That's why this gob of wires, that's what we call a key farm wiring harness. Is there anything else that's special about this? I don't remember anything. I mean, and there were minor fabrication things, like I had to build this post up here. All of this heavy metal right here is just to mount this servo. But this servo had to be in a position where it will not move, and let's face it, any added weight to the front of the tractor right now actually helps it instead of hurts it. Alright, I built this bracket. Look, I love tractors because they got all kinds of places to bolt stuff on. I just fabricated this bracket. You can see how my actuator mounts. Now, I may be incorrect about this, but these tractors had cultivators on them, and I think there was such a thing as a steerable cultivator. Anyway, it had this arm on it that was never going to be used for anything. It even sets in a keyway right here. So I cut that arm down to what I deemed as a usable size, and I just got a 3/8 bolt in there. And I can steer the whole front end just by that right there. Alright. Did I leave anything out? Alright, y'all. If I left anything out, just comment down below. Hey, I'm Chris from Key Farm. Kind of an odd video. We didn't build anything. We described something, and now we're taking it apart. Hey, love God, love people. Oh, check out this picture of it all decorated. Bye. Why in the world would I put a picture up? This is YouTube video. Hey, we need some more gold lights going up the steering shaft on the steering wheel, and it'll be perfect. All right, y'all. Merry Christmas.